It's not that luck and randomness and uncertainty don't play a role. They do. Luck is a part of all of our lives to a certain degree, both good fortune and bad. But by definition, you don't have control over luck, and your habits also matter. And I think that the reason they're so important or so worthwhile to focus on and understand is that they're the portion of your life that you can influence or control. That also determines your outcome. It's not just luck, it's not just habits, but one of those you have control over. And so it makes sense. The only reasonable strategy is to focus on what you can control. If you spend all the time focusing on things you can't control, then you're just going to end up frustrated. So I think habits are maybe the best lever for that. And talent and genes, they play a role. But it's important, you know, people have natural predispositions to things that make them better. But if you look, nearly always when someone is a great performer in a particular domain, they're both well suited and, you know, naturally talented, predisposition to that area, and well trained. So even if you're talented, you can't succeed without having great habits to execute and to fully realize the potential that you have. Your outcomes in life are often a lagging measure of your habits. A lot of time people talk about, you know, I have more money, or I want to lose weight, or I want some kind of result. But the truth is, your bank account, it's a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning and reading habits. So it's actually, we think the thing that needs to change is the bank account, test scores, or number on the scale. But actually the thing that needs to change are the habits that precede those outcomes. Every action you take is kind of like a vote for that type of person you want to become. If you can master the right actions, you can master the right habits, then you can start to cast votes for this new identity, this desired person that you want to be. And I think that's one of the reasons why small habits matter so much. They don't necessarily transform your life overnight right away. Like doing one push-up does not transform your body, but it does cast a vote for being the type of person you want to be. That doesn't miss workouts, or meditating for 1 minute might not give you an immediate sense of calm in your life. It does cast a vote for being a meditator. The real goal is not to become not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal isn't to write a book, it's to become a writer. Once you've adopted that identity, you're really not even pursuing behavior change anymore. You're just kind of acting in alignment with a type of person you already see yourself to be. It's kind of like true behavior change is really identified change. It's really identity change. Once you've changed that internal story, it's way easier to show up each day. You're not even really motivating yourself that much to do it. It's just who you are. There's a sort of a misalignment of rewards that often happens with habits. There's the immediate outcome, an immediate reward, and then an ultimate reward. For your bad habits, one reason bad habits stick so readily, if they're so easy to form, is bad habits. Often the immediate reward is favorable, like eating a donut. The immediate reward is great, sweet, sugary, tastes good, but it's the ultimate reward if you repeat that six months, a year, 2 years, that it's unfavorable. Meanwhile, good habits are the opposite. The immediate reward of going to the gym for a day or a week, not really great. Your body's sore, you don't have much to show for it, maybe you haven't lost any weight, but if you stick to that for 6 months, a year, 2 years, the ultimate reward is favorable. So a lot of the balance, or a lot of the challenge of building good habits and breaking bad ones, is figuring out how to pull the long-term cost of your bad habits into the present, so you feel a little bit of that pain right now, and pull the long-term rewards of your good habits into the present moment, so it feels good and you have a reason to kind of make it through like that valley of death in the beginning and stick with it while you're waiting for those delayed rewards to accumulate. I think we could just summarize that whole cognitive bias or misalignment of rewards by saying the cost of your good habits is in the present and the cost of your bad habits is in the future. And the fact that we prioritize the present over the future ends up making a lot of habit change difficult for that reason. If I was going to give some practical takeaways, I would say first thing you can do is probably optimize your environment. Sometimes it's all you need to do. So you might as well start there, make it easy on yourself. Putting the apples in the bowl on the counter, putting your TV in the wall unit so you can, out of sight, out of mind. Unsubscribe from food blogs, so you're not tempted by the foods, cookies and stuff. Mobile phone, just delete apps make sure that you're only carrying around with you what you need and not distractions. Instagram, make that something you do on your computer. Roughly, just look, your phone. Now you're fixed. Environment, good design, good place to start. Next thing I would recommend is a 2-minute rule. Rule of scaling your habits down, making them as easy as possible. Basically just downscale it to a point where you can answer the question, can I stick to this habit 98% of the time without fail, no matter what the conditions? If you say no, then it's probably too big a start. Pretty much every habit has an entry point, or the first thing that you try to do to just focus on mastering that habit. I think that's a good place to focus. And then building off of that, the last one that I recommend is, there was this great story in this book it was Twyla Tharp's story. Famous choreographer, trains for 2 hours a day. She's like 50s, 60s, been training for a long time, dancing her whole career. But she doesn't actually focus on the exercise habit. The habit that she focuses on building is she puts on her workout clothes and workout shirt, and she hails the cab on the side of the street. If she's done that, she's completed her habit. I think the habit that she realized is that habits are often the entry point, not the end point. They're the cab, not the gym. They're like an entrance ramp to the bigger routines in your life. And if you can master that habit, that little decisive moment that determines what happens in the next chunk of time, then the rest of it kind of falls in line. Like, I have this moment each morning where either I get up and he opens up Evernote, not me, the author. What happens, Evernote or ESPN, and what happens in the next hour is all determined by which one he picks. If he goes to ESPN, you know what he's doing for the next hours. But if he writes the next article and he jumps right into that entry point, getting on the computer and going to Evernote, then it carries him into the rest of the task. So I think that for me, it's inspiring when it comes to building habits, because you realize there's actually not that much to change. There's just little 5 or 10 of those little decisive moments, those little entry points throughout your day that determine whether the next chunk of time is productive or not. If you can organize your environment or join a community or restructure your habits so that those entry points are mastered, then you're much more likely to live a productive day. And so I think that those 3 things, environment, design, scale your habits down, and master the entry point, those are some really good places to start.